Welcome back to the channel. I'm glad you're here because what we're about to discuss isn't easy to hear. This video is about a truth hidden in every Fallout game, a truth about who the real villain is. You think the Wasteland's greatest threat was the atomic bombs that fell in 2077, killing 7.5 billion people in 2 hours. You think it's the super mutants, the death claws, the raider gangs terrorizing settlements, but you'd be wrong. The real extinction event isn't the Great War, it's you, the player, the one clearing locations, stacking bodies, and calling it heroism. Every playthrough you start is a fresh apocalypse. Every location you clear is a genocide site. And the darkest revelation? The Wasteland only begins recovering in the end slides after you stop playing. You're not the protagonist. You're the horror that survivors whisper about in the dark. And if you genuinely enjoy this kind of dark storytelling, consider subscribing and liking the channel, but only if it truly resonates with you. I need to tell you something that keeps me awake at night. Something I realized after my third trip through the glowing sea, when the radiation finally cleared from my suit and I could see the counter on my Pip-Boy. The number stared back at me like an accusation. 1,743. That's how many people I'd killed. Not mutants, not feral ghouls. People. Human beings with names, with families, with futures I erased because they were standing between me and whatever objective marker was blinking on my map. You want to know what's worse? That number was from a single playthrough. One character. One supposed hero's journey through the Commonwealth. The Great War killed 7.54 billion people in 2 hours on October 23, 2077. The history books, the ones that survived in the vaults, they call it the worst catastrophe in human history. 2 hours of nuclear fire that reduced civilization to ash and radiation. Every Fallout game opens with that same reminder, that same warning about how humanity destroyed itself. Ron Perlman's voice echoing through the Wasteland, telling us that war never changes. But here's what they don't tell you in those opening montages. Here's what I figured out after comparing the math, after really looking at what we do every single time we pick up a controller or load a save file. The bombs killed billions instantly. Radiation and starvation killed billions more over the following decades. But 200 years later, when our stories begin, how many people are actually left? The New California Republic, the largest and most successful post-war nation in the entire franchise, had a population of 700,000 people by 2242. That's it. That's what survived of California, Oregon, Nevada, and parts of Mexico. 700,000 souls scratching out an existence where 40 million once lived. Less than 2% of the original population made it through the fire and the fallout, and the 2 centuries of struggling to rebuild. Now, let me tell you what I did in 1 week of gameplay. I cleared the Corvega assembly plant. 47 raiders dead. Jared's gang had been using it as a base, and sure, they were raiders. They were the bad guys, right? But here's what the game doesn't show you. Each of those 47 people had a story. They'd survived for 2 centuries worth of inherited trauma. They'd found a community, a home, a purpose in that old factory. Some of them were probably born there, and I walked in with a combat rifle and a companion I'd armed to the teeth, and I erased them. Every single one. Not because they'd personally wronged me, not because they were an imminent threat to innocent lives, but because a quest marker told me to. Then I moved on to Libertalia. 29 kills. Then the Saugus Ironworks, 32 members of the Forged gone, then Quincy Ruins, then the Gunners Plaza, then Super Duper Mart, then the National Guard Training Yard. Location after location, I methodically eliminated every hostile I encountered. The game even rewards you for it with a little note on your map. Cleared. Like you've accomplished something noble, like you've cleaned up the wasteland instead of depopulating it. You know what's mathematically terrifying? In a single careful playthrough of Fallout 4, a thorough player can clear over 200 marked locations. Some of those locations have 5 enemies, some have 50. Let's be conservative and say an average of 15 hostiles per location. That's 3,000 people, 3,000 individuals wiped out by one person with a laser rifle and a dog. 3,000 people, out of a population that's already been reduced to a fraction of 1% of what it used to be. Do you understand what I'm saying? The Great War killed billions, yes, but it happened once. It was over in 2 hours. The killing stopped. The survivors could rebuild. But us? We don't stop. We clear location after location, playthrough after playthrough, respawn after respawn. We're not the aftermath of the war. We're a war that never ends. I started keeping detailed notes after that realization hit me. I wanted to prove myself wrong. I wanted to find evidence that I was being too harsh, that the game was just a game, that the numbers didn't mean what I thought they meant. So I tracked everything. Every kill, every cleared location, every companion I'd armed and sent into battle, every settlement I'd built that pulled resources out of the Wasteland's ecosystem. Piper killed 206 people while traveling with me. Just Piper, one companion, and those kills count as mine, according to the Pip-Boy statistics. The game tracks it. When your companion guns down a good neighbor guard because they got caught in the crossfire of your combat, when Dogmeat rips out the throat of a scavenger you hadn't even seen yet, when Strong pulverizes a fleeing raider with his super sledge, the Pip-Boy adds it to your total. You're responsible. You armed them. You brought them into combat. You made them killers. I turned Nick Valentine, a synth detective who believed in justice and second chances, into a killing machine. I gave him a plasma rifle. I brought him into situations where violence was the only answer, because that's what the game mechanics demanded. He'd make comments about hoping we could solve things peacefully, and then 30 seconds later, he'd be melting someone's face off because they were hostile on sight. The cognitive dissonance was staggering, but I didn't stop. I kept dragging him through firefight after firefight because I wanted his perk. I wanted that bonus to hacking and finding additional ammo in containers. I used him. Just like I used Kate for her lockpicking, Hancock for his damage resistance, McCready for his kill shots. I twisted these characters, these companions who had their own moral codes and backstories, into extensions of my will, into weapons. And every person they killed is on my conscience. But the killing, horrible as it is, that's not even the worst part. You want to know what really makes us the Wasteland's extinction event. It's what we do to the economy. It's what we do to the resources. It's how we strip mine the entire Commonwealth for crafting materials. I built 32 settlements in one playthrough, 32 locations where I installed industrial water purifiers that produced hundreds of units of purified water per day, water that I then sold to every merchant I could find, flooding the market with clean water until their caps ran out. I single-handedly created such massive deflation that water, the most precious resource in the Wasteland, the commodity that the hub backed their currency with in the original Fallout, became worthless. I crashed the water economy through overproduction. Then I moved on to the other resources. I scraped every location I visited, desk fans for their copper and screws, aluminum cans, duct tape, wonder glue. I stripped buildings down to their foundations, pulling out materials that settlers might have used, that traders might have salvaged, that future survivors might have needed. And I hoarded it all in my settlements. Thousands of units of steel, copper, adhesive, circuitry, just sitting in workbenches. More resources than I could ever use, more than I needed. But I took them anyway because the game let me, because my carrying capacity could handle it with the right perks, because I might need it later. You know what happens when you hoard resources in an economy? When you remove them from circulation, the economy stagnates. Prices spike for the materials that remain. People can't trade, can't build, can't repair. I wasn't helping the Commonwealth by gathering all that scrap. I was strangling it. I was hoarding the building blocks of civilization in my personal storage while settlers went without. And the settlements. Oh, the settlements. Preston Garvey's endless requests that have become a meme, a joke in the community. Another settlement needs your help. We laugh about it, but let's actually think about what we're doing when we respond to those calls. A settlement gets attacked by raiders or super mutants. We fast travel there. We kill everything. We clear the threat, and then we leave. We don't stay to help rebuild. We don't establish actual defenses or train the settlers. We just set up some turrets, maybe assign a guard or two, and then we're gone. We're never actually there when the next attack happens because we're 60 miles away clearing out another location. The settlement attacks resolve themselves off-screen, and if we didn't build enough defenses, people die. Resources get destroyed. Happiness drops. The settlement limps along until the next attack, and the next, and the next. What did we think would happen? We built these settlements in a world full of hostile creatures and desperate raiders. We painted targets on them. We filled them with resources and people, and then we left them vulnerable because we got bored with the settlement building mechanics. We moved on to the next quest, the next location, the next clear. I remember one settlement in particular. Sanctuary Hills, the starting location. The place where your character's old neighborhood used to be. I built it up into a sprawling community of 30 settlers with shops and clinics and guard posts. I was so proud of it. It was my achievement, my perfect little town. Then I got distracted by a quest line. I spent 2 weeks of game time, maybe 3 hours of real time, running around the Commonwealth doing Brotherhood of Steel missions. When I finally fast-traveled back to Sanctuary, half the crops were destroyed, 2 settlers were dead. The happiness meter had dropped to 40%. There'd been 3 attacks while I was gone, and because I wasn't there to defend it personally, because I hadn't overbuilt the defenses to compensate for my absence, my perfect town had suffered. Those 2 dead settlers, they had names. Marcy Long's relatives, maybe, or unnamed settlers who'd answered the recruitment beacon. Doesn't matter. They're gone now. They came to my settlement for safety, and I got them killed through negligence, through abandonment. And here's the thing that really twists the knife. I reloaded a save. I went back to before the attacks, built more turrets, assigned more guards, and then I left again. I saved them through video game mechanics, but the universe where they died, where I failed them, that still exists in the timeline of my playthrough. I just chose not to live in it. How many times have we all done that? Reloaded because we didn't like an outcome, because an NPC we cared about died. We treat the Wasteland like a playground where consequences can be undone with the press of a button. But for the people in those worlds, in those discarded timelines, the suffering was real. The death was permanent. We just moved to a more convenient reality. What do you think really happened here? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd like to know if I'm the only one who feels this way. The more I studied my playthroughs, the more I realized how systematically destructive we are. It's not random violence. It's not chaotic. It's methodical. It's efficient. We're optimized for destruction in a way that the Great War never was. The bombs were impersonal, quick, but us, we're personal. We look our victims in the eye. We loot their bodies. We scrape the walls of their homes for copper. We're there for every death, and then we move on to the next one. I started comparing my kill counts to the population numbers. The NCR has 700,000 people across multiple states. The Brotherhood of Steel in the capital Wasteland had maybe a few hundred active members. Diamond City, the great jewel of the Commonwealth, has a population of about 50 to 70 NPCs, depending on your faction choices. That's it. That's the biggest, safest settlement in the entire region. 50 people. I killed more than that clearing out the glowing sea. I killed more than that in the Gunners Plaza alone. Every raider gang I wipe out, that's potentially 20 to 40 people who could have reformed, who could have been negotiated with, who could have become settlers or guards or farmers if given a different path. But we never give them that path. We can't. The game doesn't allow it. They're hostile on sight. They shoot first. So we shoot back and we shoot better and they're gone. Another entry in the kill counter. Another location cleared. And it's not just the people we kill directly. It's the bloodlines we end. Every raider we put down might have had kids somewhere. Might have had a partner. The game occasionally hints at this. You find notes about raider families, holotapes from raiders talking about their children, terminal entries discussing relationships and plans for the future. But we rarely see those people. We just see the hostile tag, the red bar, the target. So we eliminate the target and move on. I found a holotape once in a raider camp. A woman talking about how she just found out she was pregnant. How she was terrified but excited. How she hoped this crazy raider life could somehow work out for her and her unborn child. The holotape was dated 2 months before I arrived at that location. I killed every raider there, every single one. I have no idea which one was her. I don't know if I ended that bloodline before it even began, or if she was one of the ones who got away. The game doesn't track that kind of detail. It doesn't make you think about it, but I can't stop thinking about it now. How many potential futures did I erase? How many children will never be born because I wiped out their parents? How many families did I orphan? The game shows you orphans sometimes. Little Lamplight in Fallout 3 was full of them. Kids who lost their parents to the Wasteland and had to survive on their own. And we walk past them, maybe do a quest or two involving them, and never consider that we're creating more of them with every cleared location. With every successful combat encounter, we're the reason there are orphans in the Wasteland, not the Great War. Us. Let me tell you about what cleared really means. You see it on your map, that little marker next to a location name. Cleared. The game plays triumphant music. You get experience points. The location is marked as complete, as finished, as resolved. But cleared is just another word for what it actually is. A genocide site. Every single location we clear used to be someone's home. The raiders at Corvega, they'd been there for years. They had beds set up. They had a leadership structure. They had supply lines and trade agreements with other raider gangs. They'd created a functioning society. Brutal and violent, sure, but functioning. They'd survived in that factory through rad storms and super mutant incursions and Brotherhood patrols. They'd built something, and we walked in and erased it in 20 minutes. The game doesn't show you what happens after we leave. It doesn't show you the bodies rotting in the factory, the supplies we didn't loot going to waste, the defensive positions they'd spent months fortifying now empty and useless. We just see cleared and move on to the next target. But here's what really keeps me up at night. Those locations respawn. After a few in-game weeks, if you return to Corvega, there are raiders there again. New ones, different ones maybe, or maybe the game just repopulates the same faction. The lore explanation, if you think about it, is horrifying. It means that despite us killing 47 people at Corvega, more raiders moved in. More people decided that factory was valuable enough to occupy. So we clear it again, and again, and again. Every time the Minutemen send us back for a radiant quest. Every time we need to farm experience points or legendary weapons. We're not clearing locations. We're maintaining a cycle of violence. We're ensuring that no one can ever actually settle these places permanently. We're the reason the Commonwealth can't recover, because every time someone tries to establish a base, tries to build a community, even a violent one, we show up and massacre everyone. And then we're surprised when more desperate people move in to try their luck. I did the math on this too. In Fallout 4, there are over 400 marked locations. Let's say half of them have hostile NPCs that need clearing. That's 200 locations. Each location fully respawns after about 2 weeks of in-game time. A typical playthrough takes about 80 hours, which translates to months of in-game time. If you're doing radiant quests, if you're farming for materials or experience, you'll revisit the same locations multiple times. Conservative estimate. Each location gets cleared 3 times per playthrough. 3 times 47 raiders at Corvega. 3 times 32 forged at Sorgus Ironworks. 3 times 29 survivors at Libertalia. We're not killing hundreds of people. We're killing thousands, the same locations, over and over, creating an endless cycle of death that makes recovery impossible. And we call this heroism. We call this helping the Commonwealth. Preston Garvey thanks us. The Brotherhood of Steel promotes us. The Railroad celebrates our victories. But what are we actually doing? We're depopulating the region. We're making it impossible for anyone to establish control or create stability because we keep killing everyone who tries. You know what the most disturbing realization was? The player character is statistically more deadly than the atomic bombs that fell on October 23rd, 2077. Let me explain that. The bombs killed instantly. 7.54 billion people dead in the initial blasts and the immediate aftermath. Horrible, yes. Catastrophic, absolutely. But then the killing stopped. The bombs didn't keep falling. The radiation eventually settled to survivable levels. Life found a way to continue, but we don't stop. Every playthrough is a new extinction event. Every new character we create is a fresh apocalypse for the NPCs in that world. And unlike the bombs, which were impersonal and distant, we're there. We're looking these people in the eyes. We're hearing them beg. We're seeing them try to flee. And we hunt them down anyway because the game marks them as hostile. Because experience points. Because loot. Because cleared. The companions you travel with, they start to change. Have you noticed that? Piper begins the game as an idealistic reporter who believes in truth and justice. She wants to expose corruption and help people. But after 6 months of traveling with me, after participating in clearing operation after clearing operation, she'd stopped making those idealistic comments. She'd stopped questioning whether violence was necessary. She just shot on sight, same as me. I'd broken her. I'd turned a journalist into a killer. Hancock's even worse. He starts out with this Robin Hood mentality. He took over Good Neighbor to protect the outcasts, the people who didn't fit in anywhere else. He talks about how everyone deserves a second chance. But put a knife in his hand and bring him to a raider camp and he doesn't try to negotiate. He doesn't offer them that second chance he's so passionate about. He just stabs and stabs and stabs until everyone's dead. Because that's what the game mechanics allow. That's what the game mechanics encourage. And I'm the one who brought him there. I'm the one who made him complicit. Curie might be the worst case. She's a Miss Nanny robot turned synth who's fascinated by human emotion and experience. She wants to help people. She wants to be a doctor. She has this beautiful, innocent worldview about humanity's potential for good. And I turned her into my personal assault rifle. I gave her a Gatling laser. I brought her into the glowing sea and watched her melt feral ghouls by the dozens. What does that do to someone? What does that do to a mind that's only been human for a few weeks? I taught her that violence is how you solve problems. I taught her that some people deserve to die. I corrupted her education about humanity with the lesson that killing is not just acceptable, it's expected. The game never addresses this. Your companions never have a breaking point. They never say, "I can't do this anymore," after the 100th cleared location. They never question whether you're actually helping or hurting the Wasteland. They just follow you. They just keep killing, and their affinity goes up. They like you more the longer they travel with you, even as you drag them through slaughter after slaughter. The game mechanically rewards you for turning good people into murderers. Strong is the only honest one. He's a super mutant who believes in the strong surviving and the weak dying. He doesn't pretend the killing is noble or necessary. He just likes violence. He's upfront about it. And you know what? I respected that more than the cognitive dissonance of bringing Nick Valentine, the detective who solves cases and helps people, into combat situations where diplomacy isn't even programmed as an option. I started cataloging the ways we destroy the Wasteland beyond just the killing, the stealing, for instance. We break into every locked container we find, every safe, every terminal. We take everything of value. Pre-war money, which is still used in some trades, ammo, medicine, food, we take it all. And sure, you could argue it's abandoned, that no one's using it, but how do you know? How do you know that safe in the back of the Starlight Drive-In wasn't someone's emergency stash? Someone's retirement fund? Someone's hope for buying their way into Diamond City? Or getting passage to the capital Wasteland? We don't know. We don't check. We just crack the lock and take whatever's inside because the game tells us it's loot. It's ours for the taking. Never mind that we're already carrying 40 weapons and 300 stim packs. Never mind that we have more resources than we could ever use. We take it anyway. We hoard it anyway. Because what if we need it later? What if there's a situation where having that extra 347th roll of duct tape makes the difference? The game even has a mechanic for this. Kleptomaniac builds. Stealth builds that specialize in stealing everything that isn't nailed down. We optimize for theft. We take perks that let us steal better, pick locks faster, hack terminals more efficiently, and we're celebrated for it. We're rewarded with better loot and more caps. The game never questions whether maybe, just maybe, we're part of the problem. If you've ever wondered what choice you would make in a situation like this, tell me in the comments. I'll be reading them. Let me tell you about a specific moment that really crystallized this for me. I was doing a quest in Fallout 3, the one where you help the residents of Paradise Falls. Wait, no, that's wrong. Paradise Falls is the slaver town. You can't help them. You can only join them or destroy them. That's the thing about Fallout's design. It gives you moral choices, but they're often binary. Help the good guys or help the bad guys. Kill the slavers or become a slaver. Kill the Brotherhood or join the Brotherhood. But what if there was a third option? What if we could negotiate? What if we could try to reform the raiders, rehabilitate the forged, find a peaceful solution with the gunners? The game never gives us that choice. NPCs are marked as hostile or friendly from spawn. Their faction determines their behavior, and if they're hostile, the only resolution is violence. We can't talk them down. We can't offer alternatives. We just kill them and call it problem solved. But it's not solved, because 2 weeks later, new raiders move into Corvega. New gunners occupy the plaza. The cycle continues, and we're the ones perpetuating it. We're teaching the Wasteland that violence is the only answer. We're proving through our actions that the strong survive and the weak die. We're no different than the raiders we're killing. We're just better armed and better protected by game mechanics that mark us as essential. Here's a question that haunts me. What happens to the families of the people we kill? The game shows you that raiders have families sometimes. You find love letters. You find holotapes of raiders talking to their children. You find evidence that these aren't just faceless enemies. They're people with connections and relationships. But we never meet those families. We never see the spouse who comes home to find their partner dead. We never see the child waiting for a parent who's never coming back because we shot them in the head for 10 experience points. The game protects us from that reality. It protects us from the consequences of our actions. When we clear a location, everyone there dies. We don't see the survivors fleeing. We don't encounter them later seeking revenge or begging for their lives. The location is just empty afterward. Cleared, clean, ready for us to loot in peace. But in a realistic wasteland, our actions would have consequences. Every person we kill would have friends, family, allies. They'd come looking for us. They'd want revenge. They'd form coalitions against the murderer who's been rampaging through the Commonwealth killing everyone. But that doesn't happen. The game doesn't connect our actions across locations. Each cleared site is isolated. Each group of enemies has no connection to any other group, so we can systematically eliminate them all without ever facing organized resistance. We're not fighting a war. We're committing serial genocide, location by location, faction by faction, and the game rewards us for thoroughness. Clear every location, get an achievement. Kill every enemy type, get an achievement. Find every unique weapon, which means clearing every location where unique weapons spawn. The game mechanically encourages us to be as destructive as possible. And then there's the settlement system. Oh god, the settlement system. I thought building settlements was going to be about helping people, about creating safe havens in the wasteland, about rebuilding civilization. But what it actually is creating resource sinks that require constant player intervention to survive. Every settlement needs food, water, power, defense. And if you build more than a few, you can't possibly maintain them all. They become burdens, they become chores. They become another quest marker demanding your attention while you're trying to do something else. So what do most players do? They build the minimum required to complete quests and then ignore the settlements. Or worse, they build elaborate fortresses that pull in settlers, promise them safety, and then abandon them to fend for themselves. The settlement attacks keep coming, the settlers keep dying, but we don't care because we're off chasing the next quest, the next clear, the next hit of experience points. I tried once to be a good settlement manager. I really tried. I built supply lines between all my settlements. I built heavy defenses. I built shops and clinics and trading posts. I created an entire network of interconnected communities that should have been able to support each other. And you know what happened? The game still sent me back to defend them, over and over. Because the settlement defense system is designed to be a time sink, not a functioning simulation. The settlements can't actually defend themselves, no matter how many turrets you build. They need the player there to exist properly. Without us, they're just set dressing. So I stopped caring. I stopped responding to the settlement defense quests. I let them fail. And you know what? Settlers died. My settlements lost population, crops got destroyed, and I just rebuilt. I just reassigned the survivors and replanted the crops and moved on. Because the game lets you do that. Because there's no real consequence for negligence. The settlers can't leave. They can't rebel. They can't say, "You're a terrible leader and we're done following you." They just keep farming and hammering and waiting for the next attack that I probably won't show up to defend them from. I created a network of concentration camps. That's what they really are. I built walls and put people inside them and then left them to be attacked by everything in the wasteland. I didn't save them. I just corralled them into a more convenient location for suffering. The worst part? I did it in every playthrough. Multiple characters, multiple worlds, same pattern. Build settlements, promise safety, abandon them to fate. Because that's what the game mechanics encourage. That's what the quest structure demands. You can't be everywhere at once. You can't protect everyone. So you don't even try. You just build the structures and move on. Here's something else I realized. The economies we create are completely unsustainable. I mentioned earlier how I flooded the market with purified water. But it's worse than just inflation or deflation. It's that we break the fundamental logic of trade. Merchants have limited caps. They can buy maybe 500 to 2,000 caps worth of goods before they're tapped out. But we're showing up with tens of thousands of caps worth of loot. Weapons, armor, chems, scrap, water, food, everything we've stripped from the locations we've cleared. So what do? We trade, max out their caps, wait 3 days for them to restock, and trade again. We're not participating in an economy. We're draining it. We're taking the limited currency in circulation and hoarding it. We're removing valuable goods from locations and dumping them on merchants who can't possibly pay what they're worth. We're creating artificial scarcity by hoarding and artificial abundance by overproduction. We're economic disasters walking on 2 legs, and the game never addresses this. Merchants never refuse to trade with you. Prices never adjust based on supply and demand. The economy is static and broken, and we exploit it ruthlessly. We crash it repeatedly, and no one cares because the NPCs aren't programmed to care. They just reset every few days, and we do it all again. I started thinking about what the Wasteland would actually look like if it was real and we were in it. How long before Diamond City put a bounty on us? How long before every settlement refused us entry? How long before the major factions realize we're more dangerous than any other threat in the Commonwealth? We're not the solution to the Wasteland's problems. We're the problem that's too powerful to stop. Think about it. We have power armor. We have energy weapons. We have companions who are effectively immortal because of game mechanics. We can fast travel, which means we can strike anywhere instantly. We can carry hundreds of pounds of equipment. We can heal from near death in seconds by injecting ourselves with stim packs. We're unstoppable. We're unkillable. We're gods playing at being heroes while we slaughter our way through what's left of humanity. If this story has kept you listening this far, and you want more of these dark confessions from the Wasteland, hit that subscribe button. It tells me someone out there is still paying attention to warnings like these. But I'm not done, because there's one more layer to this, one more horrible truth that I need to share. And it's about what happens when we stop playing. It's about the end slides. It's about what the game tells us happens after our story is done. After we've killed everyone we're going to kill, and completed every quest we're going to complete, and finally put down the controller, the Wasteland starts to recover. The settlements we built start to thrive. The trade routes we established start to actually function. The factions we helped start to rebuild and expand. Peace returns to the Commonwealth. People start having children again. They start planning for the future again. They start believing in something beyond survival, but only after we're gone. Only after we stop playing. Only after the extinction event that is our presence finally leaves the Wasteland alone. Do you understand what that means? The end slides. The epilogues that play after you finish the main quest. They tell you what happens to the Wasteland after your story is done. And almost universally things get better. Not because of what you did, but because you stopped doing it. Because the extinction event finally ended. Because the walking apocalypse left the building. In Fallout New Vegas, you can get endings where the Mojave flourishes, where settlements grow, where trade expands, where people build new lives. But here's what always struck me about those slides. They happen after the Battle of Hoover Dam, after the courier's story is done, after you, the player, have stopped interfering. The game literally tells you that the Wasteland improves when you're not there anymore. It's right there in the narrative. The survivors can finally breathe. They can finally rebuild, because the most dangerous thing in the Wasteland has moved on. I went back and watched every ending from every Fallout game, really watched them, really listened to what Ron Perlman's narration was telling me, and it's always the same pattern. During your playthrough, you're a force of chaos. You kill thousands. You destabilize regions. You topple governments and destroy factions. You clear locations that never stay cleared. You create cycles of violence that feed on themselves. And then you finish the main quest. The screen fades to black. The ending slides begin. And suddenly, miraculously, things start to improve. Shady Sands prospers. The hub becomes a trading center. The Brotherhood establishes order. The NCR expands peacefully. But these things don't happen while you're playing. They can't, because you're there. Because every time you log in, you're creating more destruction, more death, more cleared locations that will just respawn anyway. The Wasteland can only heal when you stop playing. That's the dark truth at the heart of every Fallout game. You're not the hero, you're the obstacle to recovery. You're the reason the Wasteland can't move past survival mode and into rebuilding mode. Because you keep killing everyone who tries. Let me tell you about a specific example that really drove this home. In Fallout 1, there are these invasion timers. If you take too long to complete certain objectives, the Master's army invades settlements. Shady Sands gets wiped out. The hub falls. The Brotherhood gets overrun. Junktown burns. The game punishes you for taking too long by showing you the consequences of inaction. Towns you visited, people you talked to, all gone because you didn't stop the Master in time. But here's the thing. When you do stop the Master, when you complete the game in time, those towns survive. They thrive. They become the foundation of the NCR. Shady Sands grows from a small village into the capital of the largest nation in the Wasteland. The hub becomes an economic powerhouse, all because the Master was stopped, all because the main threat was eliminated. And the Vault Dweller, the player character, they get exiled. They're sent away from Vault 13. They're told their heroism makes them too dangerous to keep around. The game literally exiles you for being too good at violence, for being too changed by the Wasteland, for being someone who solves problems by killing. And in that exile, in that removal from the community, the Wasteland flourishes. The Vault Dweller founded Arroyo, yes, but they did it far away from the places they'd saved. They stayed away. They let those communities grow without their interference. The game was telling us something. Right from the beginning, in 1997, the first Fallout was telling us that the hero who saves the world through violence can't be part of the world they saved. They're too dangerous, too corrupted by what they've done. They have to leave so that peace can actually take root. But we didn't listen. We just played the sequels. And the sequels dropped that theme. They let us stay. They let us keep building settlements and clearing locations and killing and killing and killing. And the Wasteland never recovers. Not really. Not while we're playing. It just cycles through the same violence over and over. I started thinking about what the NPCs must think of us. Really think of us. Not the dialogue they're programmed to say, but what they would actually think if they were real people watching us operate. What would Diamond City's guards think about a person who shows up every 3 days with 30 weapons to sell? Where did those weapons come from? Whose bodies did we loot them from? Why are we covered in blood and radiation but still walking around like nothing happened? What would Goodneighbor think about someone who's killed more people than the entire town's population? What would the railroad think about an agent who's cleared 50 locations and personally killed over 2,000 people in the span of a few months? They'd be terrified. They'd realize we're not stable. We're not safe. We're a walking massacre waiting to happen. But the game can't acknowledge this. The NPCs can't react appropriately because we're the player character. We're essential. We're protected by narrative necessity. So they keep treating us like heroes even as we wade through an ocean of blood. Even as our kill count climbs higher and higher, even as every place we visit turns into a graveyard. There's a reason why horror stories in the Fallout universe should be about us, not about deathclaws or super mutants or feral ghouls. Those things are predictable. You see a deathclaw, you run or you fight. Simple. But us, we're unpredictable. We're intelligent. We're equipped with the best weapons and armor in the Wasteland. And we're unkillable because of game mechanics. We're the apex predator. We're what goes bump in the night. We're what raiders tell scary stories about around their campfires before we show up and kill them all. Imagine being a raider in the Commonwealth. You've heard stories about a person in power armor who clears entire locations in minutes, who travels with a dog, and various companions who are all expert killers, who can't be stopped or negotiated with, who takes everything and leaves nothing but corpses. And one day, you're standing guard at your camp, and you see that silhouette approaching. That distinctive shape of power armor against the irradiated sky. You know you're dead. Everyone in your camp is dead. There's no escape. There's no mercy. There's just the inevitable clearing that's about to happen. You're about to become another statistic. Another entry in a kill counter you'll never see. That's true horror. Not jump scares, not monsters. Just the knowledge that an unstoppable force is coming for you, and there's nothing you can do about it. We're the monster. We're the thing under the bed. We're the nightmare that the Wasteland can't wake up from until we stop playing. I tested this theory in the most morbid way possible. I created a character whose sole purpose was to kill as many people as humanly possible. No morality system holding me back. No companions to judge me. Just pure, systematic elimination of every hostile NPC in the game. I followed the path that one YouTuber took. The one who spent 7 months killing everyone in Fallout 3. Final body count. 3,012. 3,012 people. In one game. In one playthrough. And you know what happened? Nothing. The game didn't stop me. There were no consequences. No faction rose up to stop me. No coalition formed to take down the mass murderer. I just kept going, location after location, until there was no one left to kill. And then the game gave me achievements for it. Congratulated me for my thoroughness. Rewarded me with experience and loot, and that dopamine hit of completion. The game is designed to enable this. It's designed to make us feel good about systematic genocide. Because it's not genocide when they're marked as enemies, right? It's not murder when they shoot first. It's not a problem when the game literally labels them as hostile and gives us permission, encouragement even, to eliminate them. We're just playing the game as intended. We're just doing what the quest markers tell us to do. We're just clearing locations like the game wants us to clear them. But step back from the game mechanics for just a second. Forget about the UI and the quest markers and the experience points. Just think about what we're actually doing. We're killing thousands of people. We're wiping out entire communities. We're destroying bloodlines. We're orphaning children. We're creating trauma that will echo through generations. We're ensuring that the Wasteland stays violent and desperate because we keep removing any faction that tries to establish control. We're the reason civilization can't restart. We're the barrier between the Wasteland and recovery. And the proof, the absolute proof of this, is what happens in the end slides. When we're done, when we stop playing, when the extinction event ends, the settlements thrive, the trade routes open, the violence decreases, people start having hope again, but only after we're gone, only after we stop. The game literally shows us that our absence is what allows the Wasteland to heal. We're not the protagonist of Fallout's story. We're the antagonist. We're the villain that the Wasteland has to survive. And in the endings where things turn out well, where communities prosper and civilization advances, those are the timelines where we finally stopped interfering, where we let go of the controller and let the NPCs live their lives without our constant destruction. Think about every Fallout game you've played, every character you've created, every playthrough you've completed. How many people died? How many locations did you clear? How many times did you reload a save because you didn't like an outcome? Creating branch timelines where your victims stayed dead. How many settlements did you promise to protect and then abandon? How many companions did you corrupt with violence? Add it all up. Every playthrough, every character, every game in the series, the numbers become incomprehensible. Tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands, if you count all the players in the world doing the same things. We've killed more people in Fallout than the Great War ever did. We've done more damage to the Wasteland's recovery than the atomic bombs could have dreamed of, because the bombs fell once, but we fall over and over again every time someone starts a new game. Here's the really twisted part. We do it for entertainment. The Great War was started by desperate nations fighting over resources. It was horrible, but it had a reason, however flawed. But us, we kill for fun, for achievements, for that satisfying sound when we level up, for legendary drops, for the joy of seeing cleared appear on our maps. We turn genocide into a game, and then we play it over and over again because it's fun. I'm not saying we're bad people for playing these games. I'm not calling for boycotts or moral outrage, but I am saying we need to acknowledge what we're doing when we play. We need to recognize that the role we're actually filling in these games isn't hero or savior. It's force of nature. It's walking apocalypse. It's extinction event. The Wasteland doesn't need us. It needs to survive us, and when it finally does, when we finally finish our playthroughs and move on to other games, that's when it can finally start to heal. That's when the survivors can stop whispering our names in fear. That's when children can grow up without wondering if today is the day the person in power armor comes to clear their home. That's when the true recovery can begin. We are the real villains of Fallout, not the Enclave, not the Master, not Caesar's Legion, us, the players, the ones who clear every location, kill every enemy and call it heroism, the ones who hoard resources while settlers starve, the ones who promise protection and deliver abandonment, the ones who turn idealists into killers and call them companions, the ones who break economies and create cycles of violence that never end as long as we're playing. The darkest revelation in all of Fallout isn't about Vault-Tec's experiments or the origins of the Great War or the nature of synth consciousness. It's about us. It's that we're the horror story. We're the thing that goes bump in the night. We're the reason the Wasteland can't recover, and we do it willingly, eagerly, repeatedly, because it's fun. The next time you boot up a Fallout game, pay attention to what you're actually doing. Count the bodies. Track the cleared locations. Watch your kill counter climb. Notice how every place you visit turns violent. Observe how NPCs thank you even as you leave destruction in your wake. And ask yourself, am I helping the Wasteland? Or am I the reason it stays broken? I already know the answer. I've done the math. I've tracked the numbers. I've seen the end slides that show recovery only after we leave. But I keep playing anyway, because I'm just as guilty as everyone else. I'm just as addicted to the cycle. I clear locations. I kill thousands. I hoard resources. I abandon settlements. And then I start a new playthrough and do it all again. Because despite knowing I'm the villain, despite understanding that I'm the Wasteland's extinction event, I can't stop. None of us can. That's the most horrifying truth of all. We know what we are. We know what we're doing. But the game is designed to make it feel so good that we do it anyway. We massacre our way through the Wasteland, call ourselves heroes, and hit New Game Plus to do it all over again. The bombs fell on October 23rd, 2077. 7.54 billion people died. But every time you start a new game, every time you pick up that controller, the real apocalypse begins. The walking extinction event spawns into the world. And the Wasteland, what's left of it, has to pray it survives until you decide to stop playing. Because you are the Wasteland's greatest threat. You are the villain. You are the horror that survivors whisper about in the dark. And unlike the bombs, you never stop falling. You just reload and fall again. War never changes. But you know what else never changes? Us. We never change. We just keep killing, keep clearing, keep destroying. World after world, playthrough after playthrough, character after character. We are the one constant in every Fallout story. The one reliable source of mass death. The one guaranteed apocalypse. Not the Great War, not the Master's army, not the Enclave or the Legion or any faction. Just us. Always us. And the Wasteland will never recover until we finally put down the controller and walk away.